First, let's have an overview of important nerves. In front, we have only two nerves that is important, and they ask questions from here. We have median nerve and we have ulnar nerve. These two doesn't supply any muscle in the arm. Median supplies all the muscles of the forearm and thinner muscles here, and some sensory supply in hand. Ulnar supply mainly the hand muscles. And here only two, flexor digitorum profundus, medial half plus flexor carpi ulnaris. Simple. And all the hand muscles plus hypothenar plus adductor supplied by ulnar nerve. Now, we will talk about that. But first, let's talk about radial nerve. The naked radial nerve. That is, see how radial nerve is emerging from posterior cord and traveling to the posterior side of your hand, of your arm, forearm, and hand. This course is very important. Let's add arteries. See, see, along profunda brachii, it travels in the spiral groove. It travels in the spiral groove. Here, this is your spiral groove in the medial one third of humerus, and in the lower one third of the humerus, it travels in front of lateral epicondyle. Travels in front of lateral epicondyle. Very easy, guys. Very easy. Now, now, will we add the muscles? No, we don't need the muscles right now. We just need to see the radial nerve. See, guys, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and it's coming in front of your humerus. And here is your lateral epicondyle. And here we have radial nerve in front of our radial head. In front of our radial head, it ends. Radial nerve ends here and branches. Radial nerve ends here and gives branches here. See, let I will add the branch, but this is very close to radial head. See, let's add the branches. Look at the branches, guys. Look at the branches. See, this is our radial nerve proper, and along radial head, when it comes to radial head, it it takes a new name. It takes a new name and it branches as superficial branch of radial nerve and deep branch of radial nerve. This is our superficial branch and this is our deep branch. And look, this is very close to radial head and same in the lower limb as common peroneal nerve goes around fibular head. Here, deep branch of radial nerve goes around radial head. Guys, deep branch of radial nerve goes around radial head and supplies some muscles. Then it takes another name, that is posterior interosseous nerve. And this is our superficial branch of radial nerve that is purely sensory. That gives all the sensory supply. All the sensory supply is given by this superficial radial nerve. This superficial radial nerve gives all the sensory supply. I will show you, but first let me show you the posterior interosseous nerve. Guys, I will add it a little while here. It will be posterior interosseous nerve here. See, let me add it. See, it looks very complicated, but don't worry about it. All of these are above the muscles. If we add the muscles, we will not be able to see it. This is our posterior interosseous nerve, and this is very deep, very deep, very deep, very deep, deep to all your muscles, deep to all your muscles, and it supplies all the extensors of your wrist, all the extensors of your wrist, and digits, all of them, all the extensors of your wrist and digits are supplied by posterior interosseous nerve. It's just a continuation of deep branch of radial nerve, deep radial nerve. And then we have posterior interosseous nerve. Very easy. So, so make it simple. Let's make it simple. How do we make it simple? We add muscles. We add some muscles. Remember one thing, it enters supinator. Just remember it. And this is our common extensor origin. Here will be our common extensor origin. All our extensor muscles. See, one by one, I'm adding all our extensor muscles. And here you can see that extensor muscles are originating from our lateral epicondyle, guys. This is our common extensor origin. This is our C for common extensor origin. That means CEO is on lateral epicondyle. Okay. CEO is on lateral epicondyle and CFO is on medial epicondyle. Medial epicondyle. Okay. Done. Now we will be able to see the superficial radial nerve. Here is our, and it will be easy for us. Here is our superficial radial nerve supplying all the sensory supply of our hand, all the sensory supply on the extensor or dorsal surface, all the sensory supply of dorsal surface of first 3.5 digits, first 3.5 digits, except the nail bed. Every word is important, guys, except the nail bed. Except the nail bed, it supplies our dorsal surface of hand, or whatever you say, dorsum of hand. Dorsum of hand supplied by superficial radial nerve. And what about pin? Pin supplies all the extensors. So if pin is injured, we get wrist drop, we get finger drop. Everything drops. Everything drops due to pin injury. And if superficial radial nerve injured, we lose the sensation over this area, the area I colored pink. Anyway, guys, this is a, anyway, leave it. The area I colored pink, but nail bed will have sensations. Nail bed will have sensations because nail bed is supplied by median nerve. We will talk about that. Now, remember this area. This is isolated supply of superficial radial nerve between thumb and index. Between thumb and index, this area is the area where superficial radial nerve has its isolated area. No other nerve ever comes here. If your question mentions that this area, like dorsum of hand between index and thumb, has lost its sensation and nothing else mentioned, nothing else mentioned, no wrist drop mentioned, no finger drop mentioned, no extension abnormality mentioned, nothing mentioned, just this area lost its sensation, then the injury is in superficial radial nerve. Only this branch is injured. Then second scenario, they mentioned nothing about sensation. Nothing. If they didn't mention anything, that means that is normal. If they didn't mention anything about sensory supply or sensation, that means sensation is okay. Now, they mentioned that finger extension is lost, or thumb extension is lost, or digits extension is lost, or wrist is dropped. Just this. So what's the best answer for this? All of these, all of the muscles that causes extension are supplied by pin, posterior interosseous nerve. Posterior interosseous nerve. So the best answer for this question is posterior interosseous nerve, to be very specific if they ask about a branch. Now, so now, up to now, we know that if sensation is lost, superficial radial nerve is injured. If extension is lost, pin is injured. So what if both lost? Sensation, there is no sensation, plus there is no extension. So both are injured, pin and superficial radial nerve. So we go up. What do? We go up because no person, like no person has a fracture that has a fracture here and a fracture here. Yes, that can happen. And a fracture here and a fracture here. No. Usually what happens, one bone is fractured, like radius is fractured here, and let's say dorsally displaced. That is Colles fracture. Colles fracture. And then what can happen? What can happen? Both can happen. We can lose our extension. Like if extension is lost, so pin is injured. If sensation is lost, so superficial radial nerve is injured. Now, if the injury is high up, what happens if the injury is high up? Like I have a fracture or a stab near elbow, or a stab near elbow, or a stab near elbow. Here we have radial nerve, and radial nerve has branched into deep branch of radial nerve and superficial branch of radial nerve. So I have an injury here, right? I have an injury here. So here we have pin. So we will lose both extension and sensation. Both. So if extension and sensation both are lost, that means our radial is injured. Radial is the root here. So radial is injured. We lose both. We lose both. What are the scenarios that you will have in your exam that we will lose both? You will have radial head fracture. Radial head fracture. The questions related to it are what's the most common nerve injured in a case of a radial head fracture? Who was close to radial nerve? Remember, deep branch of radial nerve. Now, if that is not in your option, then pin is your answer because it's a continuation. All right. And superficial is above. It's not that deep. It's not near radial head. Now, see, now we know what happens. Okay. We go high up. What if someone is injured near axilla? Here, can we have a radial fracture? Can what if someone gets injured here? Can we a humerus fracture? Let's say humerus is fractured. Okay, someone is injured here. Humerus fractured. See, when radial nerve emerges, it gives branch to triceps here. Then it goes down and gives superficial radial nerve and gives pin. Okay, triceps cause elbow extension. Extension. Always remember, below the place of injury, we will lose everything. We will lose every function, sensation and extension. Okay, sensation and extension, both are lost. When you know the anatomy, nothing can stop it, guys. Nothing can stop your success when you know anatomy. And if you know it this way, no one can stop you from passing this exam. This is a very easy exam, guys. Just follow what I said. See, now we know all the major functions related to radial nerve. All the major functions. I will show you here. Here we have triceps supply, and this causes elbow extension. Here we have branching superficial radial nerve that is supplying the sensation, and pin that is supplying the extension. I will talk about injuries at different level. I will start from lower. See, superficial radial nerve can be injured anywhere along the way, right? If they say you that sensation over this area is lost, which nerve is injured? Superficial radial nerve is injured. Number two, if they say extension is lost, which nerve is injured? Very, very specifically, pin is injured. If they say, mode of injury is important. If they say both are lost, that means radial nerve is injured. Now, about the level, about the level. If both are lost, then radial is injured, right? Now your question is, will I have elbow extension or not? See, if we have the injury near forearm, elbow extension will be intact because we have the injury at forearm, and elbow extension muscle, that is tricep, it's supplied high up at arm, at upper one third of humerus, right? So we will have extension okay. Which extension? Elbow extension okay. But we will have loss of sensation, dorsum of the hand with 3.5, and loss of extension of the wrist and finger. Now, let's go a little bit upper. If we have an injury at lower one third of humerus, remember, elbow extensor, that is triceps, is already supplied high up. So, elbow extension will be okay, but we will lose superficial radial nerve and pin. So we will lose the sensation and we will lose the extension of wrist and finger. Now, a different scenario. Like we have a fracture here at lower one third of the humerus, but elbow extension is lost. What can be the reason? See, here we have this tendon, guys. Here we have this triceps tendon. Here we have this triceps tendon. It can be cut. It can be cut or it can be torn. So our triceps is okay, but if my tendon is cut, then we will lose elbow extension too. Clear, guys? Easy, very easy, very easy. Only if the tendon is cut. Only if the tendon is cut, we will lose elbow extension. Be very clear about it, guys. Plus, if we have sensation lost, plus we have extension of wrist and fingers also lost, that means we have this tendon injury plus radial nerve injury at lower third of humerus. If the injury is at lower third of humerus. Now, let's go up. So, in which case, if we have injury high up at the head of humerus, we will lose all. Like triceps will lose its supply, then superficial radial nerve will be gone, and posterior interosseous nerve will also gone, and you will have sensation loss plus extension of wrist and fingers also lost, and of course elbow extension will be lost. Now, so we have talked about different levels of injury. They will give you this question in two ways. Like they will mention the presentation that this person presented with loss of sensation over dorsum of hand. Which nerve is injured? Superficial radial nerve. Second scenario. Person present with superficial sensation loss plus extension of wrist and fingers lost. Which nerve is injured? Of course, radial nerve is injured. Now they can add level. At which level radial nerve can be injured for this presentation? Remember, lower third of the humerus. Lower third of humerus. Lower third of humerus injury will produce this kind of picture. Now, an injury at lateral epicondyle can also produce same picture, or middle third of humeral injury can also produce same picture if triceps supply is spared. Okay. Then again, they can ask you elbow extension is lost plus sensation over the dorsum of hand lost, extension of wrist, finger, all lost. Which nerve is injured? Radial nerve is injured. And with elbow extension is also lost, we can assume that the injury can be near upper part of humerus, upper part of humerus, or the place, see, or if we hide this muscle, or near humeral head, upper one third or humeral head. This injury will produce all extension lost. All extension lost. You will have scenarios like this, and you will never forget this, and you will never make a mistake with a radial nerve question. Okay, guys, this is the end of our radial nerve. Okay, then another scenario I want to talk to you about is extensor pollicis longus injury. Guys, they ask you sometimes a question that is thumb, hand, palm is faced. They ask you a question sometimes related to pin injury. This is important, guys. Be very careful. Pin injury, they ask questions from it. See, pin supplies all the extensor of your wrist, all the extensors of them. Now, sometimes they ask that thumb, palm is placed downwards and the person cannot extend IP joint. These joint cannot be extended. So from this, we know that this joint extension is done by extensor pollicis longus and it is supplied by posterior interosseous nerve. You can have any of the questions that, so it must be a pin injury. It must be a pin injury. Or it must be something related to extensor pollicis longus, which is injured somehow or paralyzed. Now, it will be paralyzed when pin will be injured. Then we go to mode of injury. Mode of injury, see, if they most commonly they say that a cast is given. See, if we give a cast up to here after Colles fracture, if we give a cast up to here after Colles fracture, this cast can injure this tendon here. This cast can injure this EPL tendon we have here. EPL tendon we have here. So if only IP joint extension is lost and all of the fingers are okay, that means this tendon is injured. Tendon injury. Now, if they say there's a stab in the forearm, there's a stab in the forearm here or here or here, stab anywhere, stab in the forearm. If there's a stab in the forearm, see the tendon is here. The tendon is here. So this is not injured. This time the answer will be pin, posterior interosseous nerve, because the nerve is here, though deep, and stab goes deep, but the tendon is here. So here tendon is not injured. So blindly, don't go for recalls blindly. Don't memorize them. You will make a mistake and grave mistake, and you will fail the exam and you will lose 607 pounds. That's a lot of money for people from third world country like us. That's a lot of money, guys. So don't do this mistake. Don't do this mistake, guys. Okay, this is the pin related questions. You will not have any other questions like that, or even if you have, you will understand the mechanism. Now we will talk about median nerve. We will talk about median nerve and important things. We will remove the biceps for that, and we can see the median nerve. First thing you need to know from median nerve is its course. First thing you need to know is the course. See, we will hide coracobrachialis too. inside this muscle, musculocutaneous nerve, and this is our median nerve. We will add brachial artery with it. And this is the most important thing. First thing you need to know, median nerve is lateral to brachial artery, lateral or radial to brachial artery. Here we have humerus. Anyway, just lateral means radial in hand. Just remember that. So it's lateral to brachial artery first. Then, as it goes down, it will it's actually not a good guy. Not a good guy. It rolls and goes above brachial artery. Not a good thing to do, guys. Lateral, anterior, and then goes medial. This is its course in arm. And it supply no muscle here, just does this thing and then enters into forearm. And how it enters? In between two heads of pronator teres. Guys, in between two heads of pronator teres, it enters. We hide it. Now see it's entering pronator teres. It's just doing these things, sometimes rolling above someone and then entering someone. Not good. Not good, guys. See, we hide it. Oh, see, now we can see the median nerve. Now we can see the median nerve, and it is supplying flexor digitorum superficialis at elbow, near elbow, almost near elbow. It supplies flexor digitorum superficialis. Then it supplies flexor digitorum profundus and all the long flexors of your hand, long flexors of your hand near this area, near this area, near elbow or somewhere along the forearm. Don't worry about it. Then it goes down, 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 and near flexor retinaculum, it gives a branch over flexor retinaculum. It gives a branch over flexor retinaculum and then enter flexor retinaculum and then give two branches only. One is recurrent branch that supply thenar muscle over the thumb and digital sensory branches. Digital sensory branches. Very, very simple. Very simple. Just remember the points I told you. No supply in the arm, in the forearm near elbow. It will supply flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus lateral or radial half, and it will travel and enter the flexor retinaculum. But before entering flexor retinaculum, it will give a branch that is palmar cutanear branch. And inside flexor retinaculum, it will give two branches. One is recurrent branch that supply thenar eminence, and one is digital branch that supply digits sensation plus nail bed of 3.5 muscles. Now, when we know all the supplies, we will know the function. We will know the function of important muscles that we will encounter in the exam. See, let's start from lower. Here we have palmar side sensation supplied by digital sensory branch of median nerve. Okay, here we have palmar cutaneous branch which supplies this area, palmar cutaneous branch of median nerve, and which is above flexor retinaculum at the lower part of your forearm, and it does not enter flexor retinaculum. Does not enter flexor retinaculum. Then we have recurrent branch. Recurrent branch will supply our thenar muscle. Recurrent branch will supply our thenar muscle. Thenar muscle means abductor pollicis brevis, opponens pollicis, and flexor pollicis brevis. Okay. When we have a brevis, we have a longus too. Now, what are the functions of them? Opponents will make your thumb go to last finger or little finger, Abductor pollicis brevis will make your thumb 90 degree. Make your thumb 90 degree when the palm is faced upwards. Upwards. Abductor pollicis brevis will make your thumb 90 degree when the palm is upwards. And here we have IP joint flexor, that is flexor pollicis longus. Only three muscles we need to know from above. That is flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor digitorum profundus, flexor pollicis longus. FPL is supplied by anterior interosseous nerve. Simple as that. Simple as that. FDS is supplied by median nerve proper. Okay. Median nerve proper. Okay. See, they will ask you question. First, we have talked about the function. Then we will go to individual scenario and possible injury. Either they will give you scenario and they will tell you which nerve is injured, or they will give you a stab or a fracture and they will tell you what can be the possible scenario. First, we will talk about the scenario and which nerve is injured. If they say the digit sensation is lost, that means digital nerve is injured, digital branch is injured. If they say thumb flexion or opposition, flexion of which joint? Metacarpophalangeal joint, MCP, because IP is supplied by FPL. We will talk about that later. Just forget it for now. If they say opposition is lost or person cannot make thumb 90 degree when the palm faced upwards, that means my recurrent branch is injured. Recurrent branch is injured. Very simple. Recurrent is injured. Now, if they say we have sensation loss only over the palm on medial surface, on medial side of thumb, but digits are okay. Of course, if they don't say about anything about digits, this is the primary problem. That means we have lost palmar cutaneous branch of digital nerve. Palmar cutaneous branch of median nerve. So this area, palmar cutaneous branch of median nerve. If they say all three lost, that means we have lost recurrent branch, digital branch, palmar cutaneous branch, all of them. Or all of them, all of them. Okay. Now we will go up. We will go up. If they say flexion of first three digits, flexion of first three digits is lost, that means the problem is high up. Flexion of digits is done by two main muscle, FTS and FDP. FDS flexes your proximal interphalangeal joint and FDP flexes your distal interphalangeal joint, which are supplied by median nerve. Of course, median nerve, FDP, lateral half. So we will lose lateral half, but last two will be okay. Last two will be, we can flex distal interphalangeal joint, not proximal. Okay. Distal interphalangeal joint, we can flex it. Now, for this, we have a test. If we ask the person to make the hand a fist, they will not be able to make a fist. These two will come, these two will flex, but these two will not flex. These two will not flex. So my flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus half, lateral half, is not working. That means median nerve is injured, and that is injured high up. That is injured almost near elbow or at forearm. Near elbow or at forearm. Why do I say or at forearm? Because this is not absolute. Person to person, it varies. Like in some person, FDS is applied here. In some person, FDS is applied here. In some person, FDS is applied here. So it can happen. So the injury must be near this area to produce this kind of presentation. Then, guys, we will talk about different scenarios and different injuries and result of it. First, we will talk about injury inside flexor retinaculum. Injury inside flexor retinaculum. We start from deep. Injury inside flexor retinaculum. If flexor retinaculum, we have carpal tunnel syndrome, and flexor retinaculum is compressing median nerve. What are the branches that will be involved? See, recurrent branch will be involved and digital branch will be involved. These two will suffer, but these will not suffer. This area will have intact sensation and this area will have no problem because palmar cutaneous branch, does not enter carpal tunnel, So this area will be okay. This area will be okay. We will have problems only in digits. We can lose the sensation and we will have problems in thinner eminence muscles because recurrent branch is injured. Recurrent branch is entrapped. This is the first scenario and this is a very common scenario given as carpal tunnel syndrome. Then secondly, if they say that these two are gone, recurrent, digital, and this area is gone, that means we have an injury before or proximal to flexor retinaculum. Proximal to flexor retinaculum, because this nerve arises proximal to flexor retinaculum. We must have an injury here to produce this picture. Then, so it can be an injury here or it can be injury above that. Now, what happens if the injury is here and the injury is here? What's the difference? The difference is if the injury is here, we will have problems only in thinner eminence and digit sensation and palm sensation. But if we have an injury here, we will also lose flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor digitorum profundus, and flexor pollicis longus and other long flexor muscles. But these three are important. Radial hub. So we will have additional hand of benediction. What is hand of benediction? We will have additional hand of benediction, guys. Like if we ask the person to flex his hand, he will not be able to flex first three fingers. These will be like Pope's hand. We have a picture in our note. Okay. And we will lose. This is the definite sign and this is the most commonly given sign. So if injury near elbow, we will have hand of benediction, thumb grip lost, plus digit sensation lost, plus opposition lost, like everything lost. And of course, one thing I want to mention, that is IP joint flexion is lost. IP joint flexion is done by flexor pollicis longus, which is supplied by anterior interosseous nerve. Okay. Then isolated posterior and anterior interosseous nerve injury. Almost always they give you a scenario only that a person palm faced upwards and this person cannot flex IP joint. What's the problem? That flexor pollicis longus is paralyzed and it's supplied by anterior interosseous nerve. So it's AIN injury. This is AIN injury. Guys, this is AIN injury. I have told you 3 times because it's very important. Then Another scenario related to sensation loss. We have lunate here, guys. We have lunate here. So if lunate is dislocated, we will have only sensation loss. We will have only sensation loss in first three fingers. We will talk about that in orthopedics. So these are all the medial nerve scenarios you will face in the exam. You will not face any scenario other than that. Either they will ask you where is the injury, or they will ask you which branch is gone. These two questions. Which branch is gone, or where is the injury? Remember another thing, pin will supply pin if a person has a anterior, remember another thing, if a person has anterior interosseous nerve injury, that person will not be able to flex this finger, so that person will not be able to make okay sign, not be able to make okay sign. It's a very important point to remember. Then you will not face any question other than that. Then about ulnar nerve. See, about ulnar nerve, they will just mostly ask you same question. Where is the injury, and or which branch is gone? First, let's talk about which branch is gone. We will answer which branch is gone. See, ulnar nerve, they don't ask about course. Still remember that it travels behind medial epicondyle, does not supply any muscle in the arm. Mostly all the forearm muscle are supplied by medial nerve. It will supply only flexor digitorum profundus here, near elbow, medial half, and it will supply flexor carpi ulnaris, which is not important. Forget it. Forget it. Just remember, near elbow, it supplies flexor digitorum profundus medial hub. Then it will travel and it will give DUCN along here. Along lower part of forearm or medial forearm, it will give dorsal ulnar cutaneous nerve, and it will supply last 1.5 digit plus nail bed. Dorsum of last 1.5. Then it will go, then it will travel along and give palmar cutaneous branch. Then it will give digital branch. Then it will give a deep branch. This deep branch is motor and supply all the intrinsic muscle of hand. Palmar branch will supply sensation over this area, hypothenar eminence. Digital branch will supply all of the digits, like last 1.5 digits. Last 1.5 digits is supplied by digital branch. Now, if we lose, we will go from lower, simple as that. If we lose digit sensation only in last 1.5, if we lose at the dorsum, the nerve gone is dorsal ulnar cutaneous nerve. And if we lose at palmar area, the nerve gone is digital branch. Digital branch. Then, if we lose hand flexion, that doesn't come in exam. That means deep branch is injured. It supplies all the lumbricals and all the interossei, or palmar adduction or dorsal abduction, whatever you say it. Then, if we lose this thing, adductor pollicis, ADP, I will say ADP, adductor pollicis, like we can't adduct the thumb. We can't add the thumb with index or other finger, then it's deep branch of ulnar nerve injury. As we said, it supplies all these muscle plus adductor pollicis. Now we have a test for that. If we give a card here and tell the person to hold the card with your thumb, a normal person will hold the card by making it close, making the thumb close, or adding the thumb with other fingers. But if a person has adductor pollicis paralysis, then he will try to hold it by flexing the IP joint. And that will mean that adductor pollicis is paralyzed. So we are testing adductor pollicis and we are testing deep branch of ulnar nerve injury. Deep branch of ulnar nerve injury. Guys, this is the question, and that's how. And the same question will come in your exam. Same questions. Same questions will come in your exam. Now, see, this has a name. This test is known as Froment's test. Froment's test. They ask this question in several ways. They will ask you, what do you test in Froment's test? Which muscle is tested? Which nerve is tested? These are the questions. Then again, claw hand. See, they ask questions about claw. See, if flexor digitorum profundus is supplied here, FDP, and it flexes distal interphalangeal joint of last two digits, and this one, this joint, and all the other branches we know that interossei and lumbricals anyway. Now, if we have an injury here, this is spared, right? It has already been supplied, so it will be okay. But we will lose the lumbricals, we will lose palmar adductors, dorsal abductors, we will lose everything. Like we will lose palmar cutaneous branch, we will lose digital branch, plus we will lose deep branch. So due to loss of deep branch, we will lose the flexion of metacarpophalangeal joint. So it will be hyperextended. And we will lose the flexion MCP, that will be hyperextended because extensors are pulling. But for balance, we don't have extensors are pulling, but for balance, we don't have lumbricals. So this joint will be hyperextended. I will write H. Now, FDP is okay, and FDP will pull this very hard. And FDS is also okay because FDS is supplied by median nerve. So it will pull this joint very hard too. Let's go close. Let's go close. This will be pulled hard by FDP. This will be pulled hard by FDS, which is supplied by median nerve, which is okay. And this joint, we have lost all the lumbricals. There is no pull this way. Only extensors are pulling. So this joint, like MCP joint, will be hyperextended. Proximal interphalangeal joint will be flexed. Distal interphalangeal joint will be flexed. So this will be a severe claw. Severe claw. If the injury is here, near wrist, near our wrist. If the injury is here near our wrist, this thing will happen because FDS is intact and FDP is already supplied by ulnar nerve, of course, medial half. Now, if we have a same injury but near elbow, what will happen? Near elbow, what will happen? FDP will lose its supply, so it cannot pull distal interphalangeal joint hard. So the claw will be less severe. The claw will be less severe. The claw will be less severe. This is called ulnar paradox. Like if the injury is near elbow, the injury, if we go up, the claw is less. And the injury, if we go down, the claw is more. Very simple. If you know the basics, you will never make a mistake with any questions, guys. Then ulnar nerve, another scenario like with complicated with DUC and don't complicate with it. See, if they say palmar sensation is gone, my flexion is gone, like deep branch is injured, digital branch is injured, and palmar cutaneous branch is also injured, but dorsal is intact. So what can happen? So we can have an injury near this area, or we can have an injury that has spared dorsal ulnar cutaneous nerve. It can be arise from here, DUC, and so the injury will be in forearm. And if we have severe claw, the injury will be near wrist. And if we have less claw, the injury will be near elbow. Simple and easy. Simple and easy. Guys, we will just go to our notes and you will understand everything. Best of luck, guys. Thank you.